everybody, and welcome to another episode of So Chatty with Walter and Steven. And today is July the 18th, 2025, and we're going to talk about Ikea because we were there yesterday. And we're going to talk about the possibilities that Ikea has for those of you that are looking for things for your sewing room. But before we do that, let's take a look. I have finally finished my sister's quilt. So here it is. It's all done. Walter's very concerned about the final size. I washed it because I always wash my quilts afterwards. And yes, there's probably a little bit of shrinkage to it. Before it was washed, it measured about 90 by 90. I have not measured it yet, but to keep him happy, before I give it to my sister, I will measure it. And my prediction is that it probably shrunk maybe no more than an inch all the way around. So we'll see what that is, and we'll report on that later next week or whatever. Anything else you'd like to say about the quilt?
Nope.
No. Does it meet your standard
It looks
of approval?
nice.
That's nice. Okay, nice.
The quilting looks nice.
On a scale of excellent, very good, and nice, I guess I get a C on that one. Oh, that's really good coming from the critic. Okay.
And you didn't make any mistakes on this?
No, I didn't. That you know of.
No.
So, anyways, let's go back here. I am wearing one of Walter's latest creations. This is my shirt.
No, you've...
What, if I got the wrong one on?
You've got the wrong one on.
I thought this was the one.
It's your pussy shirt.
Well, I know. What did you make me?
You made you the butterfly shirt.
Oh, pussies, butterflies. I'll go grab the shirt.
I
and
kind
show
of
it
wondered
to you.
why you were...
There we go. Magic of television. This is the butterfly shirt. Very nice. It's very nice. I like it very much. What mistakes did you make on this, Walter?
Not really any other than that. I made the button band a little wider than I normally do.
But then,
And I used a different interfacing for the collar. You may
I notice it
it's
feels
softer.
a little softer.
Yeah,
See
so I
how
want
it
to see
stands
how
up and
well,
washes.
yeah.
But you did make a mistake while you were constructing it. You sort of sewed a sleeve to the collar.
Oh, there was a... No, not the sleeve. It was the yoke.
Oh,
The
no yoke on you?
The yoke, the bolt back folded up on me while I was sewing the yoke on.
Oh, well, you're an
And
idiot.
so I had to unpick it. But
Oh, Walter never makes mistakes.
I make mistakes all the
Oh, you heard it here first, folks. He admitted he makes mistakes all the time. So the problem is I don't ever get a chance to detect them and look at it like he does mine and go, what happened there? So anyways, it's nice, very nice shirt. It'll look lovely in London. I'm sure that all of the English people will want one. Or maybe not. Whatever. Okay, so that's what we've... You've been doing some other things. What have you been doing in your sewing room that we did yesterday?
time. Oh, well, see, I had this bookcase in there that was one of Steve's old bookcases. And when we put the windows in, I thought there wasn't enough clearance for the guys to put the windows in or it would have been a tight clearance for them to put the window in. The other bookcase was a little wider. And so I thought, well, when I took that bookcase down, I emptied it all out and everything. I thought it would be nice to get a bigger one, a taller one. And it's a taller one, so I was looking around for a taller one that was skinnier. So that's what we bought. And
At Ikea.
at Ikea, yeah,
'Cause
I
we
bought
went
a Billy.
He bought a Billy, yes. And then we were trying to figure out whether we could get it, you know how they're flat packed, right? Get it in the car. We had a tape measure, but we did. It fit in on its edge, went right up between the two seats and everything, so that was not a problem.
Yeah, I measured from the back of the box said online it was 81 inches long. And I measured from the back of the passenger seat, which is pulled up a little further. I had 79 inches. So I could get it in behind the
Now
passenger
you're just
seat.
bragging.
But I'd have to push the passenger seat up further, which would squish Steve in.
Yeah, never mind. He could
And,
strap me to the hood. It wouldn't.
And but then the box was skinny enough that it would fit in the space between the two seats, that I could push it up a few inches in there, and that worked out well.
Well, long story short is we got it to fit in, but you got the long version of the story too. And
Well, and plus
Here we go.
IKEA is a good 40 minutes away from our house, so I didn't want to have to drive with the
with it hanging out.
hatch hanging out or something like that.
So you didn't want your you didn't want your Billy bookcase to be hanging out.
I didn't want Billy hanging
Then you
out.
want Billy hanging out. Okay. But anyways, yes, we got it home and it's now in his sewing room, and it does have a little different look to it because he got a black one. So yeah, of course, you got to look at it now because it'll be covered in something.
Yeah, we'll have junk in it. I haven't put any junk in it yet.
But anyway, so that's when we had to go to IKEA. Now, those of you that are regulars on Sewing with Stephen know that we did not have a Sewing with Stephen session yesterday, on Wednesday, because we were in Toronto having dinner with some friends. We stayed overnight, and then we went to IKEA the same day on the way home. So, yeah, that was canceled. But it will resume this coming Wednesday. Now, here's the trick. It'll resume this Wednesday, and then it won't be happening for about 2 weeks after that, because that's when we leave a week from this Sunday for the UK, and we'll be gone about 2 weeks. So I'll miss 2 Wednesdays of Sewing with Stephen. However, there will be videos probably almost every day when we are in London and in Birmingham for the Festival of... Walter's fact-finding me right now. He's checking his calendar to see if I am correct on this. We leave on the 27th.
Oh, yeah, and we come back on the 6th.
Yeah.
Which is a Wednesday.
Yeah. Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
What was that?
It's my fault that I scheduled it that way, so you can blame me for missing 2 in a row.
You heard it here first, people. Walter admitting to something that he did wrong. Anyways, it's not really wrong. It's fine. We're on vacation. So...
I'm sure your sewing pals can take a break.
Maybe. Let me scare them all away, and then we'll come back again. Anyways, yes. So we will resume on the 13th. August the 13th will be the next Sewing with Stephen session then.
You haven't scared them away yet.
Yeah, moving right along here. Everybody's a comedian. Okay, so we went to IKEA, but you just don't go into IKEA and not buy nothing. So we found his little Billy Bob bookcase there, or whatever it is, in that. And I was looking for some of those, those mats that fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. Like, they often have them for kids to play on so they don't hurt their little bodies when you drop them on the floor. They bounce. Things like that. I wanted these for in front of Lucy, because when you're standing in front of Lucy for like 6 hours, like I did with the quilt I just showed you, your legs get kind of sore if you're on a hard surface. Now, we have a mat that's a little bit cushiony in front of Lucy, but it's not that great. It's better than standing on the cold stone floor, the cold concrete, but want something a little bit more. So apparently Canadian Tire, Walter's favorite store, had these things on sale. So Walter, on his way back from getting he got his haircut today,
My haircut, my beard trimmed.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm getting mine done tomorrow. But anyways, he picked them up on the way home, and of course he had points. They were on sale, and he had points, and so it was a freebie, so to speak. So he tells me. Anyways, we put them together and put them down, and I think they're going to work out okay. They're more cushiony than the other.
And it was an inexpensive purchase, so
yeah.
I mean, not the fact that just I used points. I mean, they were on sale for
14 something.
Basically $15 a package. So I bought 2 packages, and actually it worked out that he has some in front of his the Lucy, and then I had about 3 tiles left over that I could use in
front of his workbench.
In front of my workbench.
Yeah, there. So, anyways, yeah. So that was our purchase of the month, or bargain of the day, whatever you prefer to call it. But they at IKEA, we looked around because I thought I had seen them at IKEA before when we've been in there in the children's section of stuff, but didn't really see any this time. I mean, doesn't mean they weren't there. We just, when you go to IKEA, it's a sensory overload because you're following the little arrows all around, and there's everything in the place to look at and pick up, and things you didn't think of before when you go in there and you go, "Ooh, that's a good idea." So we bought that. We also, we talked last week about the new windows we had put in, and now we have a problem with window dressings. We basically don't have any that fit. Our old ones will not fit. So we do have something we're going to experiment with, and if it works out, we may order more of them. But it's basically a blind that has a tension pole, so you don't have to drill any holes. That's the theory. We're gonna, because we would prefer to stay away from having to drill holes in the vinyl, but we may not be able to avoid that. It's not a big deal, but
You have new windows.
you just don't want to.
And
do
like we
anything.
had them all framed in vinyl. It's a little. I don't. It's nicer. I thought it was nicer looking. So
And no maintenance,
yeah, no maintenance.
which makes it even better. But anyway, so that is on order. We'll see what it's like. We're experimenting with one window down here in the rec room. Actually, it's a window that if the light comes through, it kind of makes watching television difficult because it reflects directly into it. During the day, in the night, and once the winter comes, well, when we're in perpetual darkness, it won't matter. But anyways, we'll try that. If that works out, then we'll consider getting something similar or the same kind of thing for the other windows. But in the meantime, when we were at Ikea, didn't know something like this existed. They have basically disposable blinds. They're paper blinds, but they
Actually,
are.
technically, they're polyester blinds.
Are they polyester?
Yeah, actually, I opened
Oh.
the package last night and I was kind of impressed.
Oh, okay.
And they have a sticky thing on the top of it, so that
And they're pleated
yeah,
across.
they're just pleated blind.
And they got a sticky thing on the top, so no screws or anything. You just peel and stick. And Walter watched a video on it. We haven't tried putting one up yet, but we're going to, and see how this works out. If anything, like we're not looking at them as being a permanent installation, but we need to have something, especially in the two windows on our dining room and our kitchen windows, because they open right out into the neighbor's house and kind of, are pretty close to where their windows are that look out that way too. And you want some privacy.
Yeah, well, our neighbors
And
seem
I
to be a
think
little uptight.
they're a little uptight about that, and sort of keep them comfortable too, with this. So they'll do probably, we're hoping, as a temporary fix until we're able to get what we really want there. Who knows? We might like them so much we'll go, oh,
No, I don't think so because they don't have any mechanism to really
oh, they
move
don't.
them up, and stuff like that.
Oh, they just hang.
They just sort of hang.
Oh.
Actually, they have a sticky on the top, and then at the bottom, they have two-sided Velcro pads.
Oh yeah.
Right, you stick one to the sill, and you stick one to the blind, and yeah, you could pull them apart, but you don't. There's nothing that.
But nothing holds them up?
Yeah, like
Oh.
there's no cords that you can hold them up with.
Well,
and
at
stuff.
$4.99 a piece.
Yeah, I know. Like they're good for a temporary solution.
Yeah, they'll work for now. So we bought 4 of those.
And I'm sure it works great for college kids and stuff.
Oh yeah, probably. Also, I was like, those 3D structures that I make that are like I made the haunted house and the Christmas villa and that kind of thing. Well, they light up. And I have to buy strips of LED lights that go inside of them and everything, which are fine. But IKEA had the same things, and they turn colored everything, and they're USB driven, very much similar to what I already buy. So I got a couple of packages of those. They were $7.49, regularly $15 a package, and I tried one out the other day, and I think they're going to work dandy for that. So that was a bargain, I figured. We needed a tray, a cheap tray, because now that we've got the big umbrella for the table outside that we can adjust and keep the sun off of us because it's very bright, it's a western exposure there. We have been sitting out there, having munchies and drinks, and it makes it easier for taking your munchies out. You put the little dishes that have the little dips and things in them and put them all on this little tray. But I didn't want to spend an arm and a leg on a tray for that because we're not going to use it that often. But I found looks like a cafeteria tray, small one, 99 cents Or was it $1.99?
$1.99.
It was $1.99. $1.99. So yeah, I wasn't expecting to buy something like that, but hey, yeah, that serves its purpose. And I bought a fake plant because I think you heard me mention when we talked about the new umbrella that now we don't have our table that sits out there, which is sort of hexagonal, or is it an octagon? I think
Octagon.
Is it an octagon? Is it 6-sided or 8-sided? I think it's 6-sided.
Yeah, it could be a
I think it's a
six-sided.
hexagon.
Okay.
Whatever. It has like the hole in the center, right, for where the old umbrella used to go through. And I mean, there you are. You've got the other umbrella up, and you're looking at a hole. So, and that's only when Walter bends over barbecuing. But anyways, we thought we should plug the hole. This is getting bad. So I found one of their fake little plants for, what were they, $4.99 or $4.49 or something, or $3.99? I don't know. They were cheap. They were under $5, and they look pretty real. So my thought was, when I said,
They look like real plastic.
yeah, it looks. And someone's going to say, couldn't you make one on your 3D printer? Yeah, I could have. I've made succulents before, but I didn't want to because they do look kind of plasticky. This one looks a little better than plastic.
Yeah, well, it is a little better.
It'll stand up to rain, no problem. Don't have to worry about it. So anyways, I had some alien tape, and my idea was I was going to stick it down over top of the hole, and there it sits. And I needed to stick it down with something like alien tape because, wind comes up, you don't want it blowing away into the neighbor's backyard. But, yeah, I had to put a saucer under that. But I did have a 3D printed saucer that worked fine. Alien tape the pot on top of that, and then the saucer was bigger so it could go onto the actual table, not drop in the hole, and stuck it down, and it looks wonderful. I should have taken a picture of it, but I didn't. Maybe I'll take a picture of it and show it on the vlog. Anyways, yeah. But these are all things that you don't think of necessarily when you walk into Ikea, because I think what we mostly think about when we go to Ikea is big storage units or tables and desks and that kind of stuff. But it got me thinking, and this is not an original thought because I have seen videos on YouTube that come out every time there's a new catalog from Ikea, and people talk about all these interesting things for your home and for different rooms. But I thought we'd explore the possibilities of what you could get at Ikea the next time you decide that you're going to pick up something else at Ikea. But what about your sewing room? There might be some things you would like. So I have gone to their catalog, and we're going to talk with the most obvious things, but we're going to talk about a few things that I got brainstorming on that I thought, don't really think of these things for that.
Well, actually, the other thing was that when I originally thought about getting the Billy bookcase, right? But then I thought, well, when I wasn't 100% sure it would fit in my car, I started looking around at other places around where we lived that sold bookcases as well. And the other places, they're either too big or they're too expensive, mostly a lot more money, or people were on the website complaining that they were difficult to put together. Whereas the one thing about IKEA is they're pretty consistent in the way they put their products together, and once you've assembled one, it's pretty easy to figure out how to assemble another one.
And Walter's has assembled quite a few of them because my sewing room is a lot of IKEA in here. So, of course, there's the drawer systems, and I love the Alex drawers because they're very versatile. Now, I have, let's see, is it that one? Yeah, I think that's one, except I don't have it in dark gray. I have it in white. I guess it's that one. It's the one that I use for all of my embroidery threads, and it works dandy for that. But actually, I have 3 of them. One has a lot of fabric and things in it, and another one has a whole lot of my electronic stuff, tools for my 3D printer, that kind of stuff. I really like them because they don't take up a lot of space, but you can get a lot in them. The one thing I don't like about Alex drawer units is 1/3 of your drawer you really can't store stuff in because you can't see what's back there because they have a locking mechanism so the drawer only comes out so far. And I think that's a safety feature so that you don't like yank the whole drawer out and drop it on your foot or something with that. But I took out, there's just a little screw, I took the little screw off of these so I can pull them right out to the end, take them right out if I want to. They don't lock. And yes, I have to be careful, and I'm pretty much used to it. So, I mean, I remembered that I can only go so far before they'll fall out. But I can get a whole lot more stuff in there because there's about a third of the unit
Yeah,
that is kind of inaccessible.
yeah, if you have them so that they don't pull out all the way, then some of the stuff that you store in it on that half that you can't pull out is somewhat inaccessible, or you can't see what's in there.
Yeah. So I got rid of those mechanisms, and I can pull them all out. Now you see the one that's here, this sort of flat, long one. This originally, my thought was I would have liked one of the. I measured it. I could get 3 of them underneath Lucy, and I have seen this done in like down at Whirls N Swirls. I think they do it this way too, and I've seen it in other places or online where people use this to hold fabric, tools, and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that would be a great idea. But then I got measuring under there, and I figured out that these drawers are not very high. Essentially, these first ones, okay, that wants to move around. I'll show you that. But those first 1, 2, 3 drawers at the top are a little bit narrower than the next 3. My idea was I was going to put all my wide backs in there. Well, I could only really get maybe 2 wide backs in each one of those drawers, and then the other drawers below are not much better.
Yeah,
They're slightly bigger. Yeah, it would look really nice under Lucy, but they're not really going to serve the purpose. I
Well-
have plastic drawers under there now that hold more than what these could hold.
yeah. Not only that, I have ones under my desk that I store some fabric and stuff in. And the problem is that you can't see through them, so you can't really see what
That's
you've got. And, I mean,
another thing too.
You can label it, but labeling, you can't necessarily label each fabric.
Now, of course, like these, they show you how you can buy these tabletops separate, and then you can use the drawer systems to create, a desk. Or in my case, I used, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and I think there's another one, 4. So I've got 3, 6 of these in my center island, which has got my embroidery machine on one end, my sewing machine on the other, and it's my cutting board in between, my cutting area. And I have quite a lot of space to hold it. Oh, actually, I've got 2 on the end too that holds them up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, it works really well for that.
And what's amazing is the desktops are made out of
It's pressed
reclaimed
cardboard.
Cardboard.
Yeah, they're made out of reclaimed cardboard, but
And
they're
they're
strong.
actually pretty sturdy.
You can stand on them. I mean, I wouldn't want to stand on them if they're not supported in the center. But yeah, so they work well, and price-wise, it's not bad in comparison to what you could get. Now, later we'll see what else you can get, which is much more expensive and maybe in some ways nicer, but maybe not. But they really serve the purpose. And so, I don't think this is new to probably anybody, because everybody's probably very much familiar with IKEA, desks and these kind of drawers and things like that. Oh yeah, you can even, if you make one wide, they show here, you can get a center leg to support it, or you can get just legs and it goes out that way. So they're versatile. I looked at these actually. Okay, I wish it wouldn't do that.
Stop moving your mouse around.
Well, thank you for your advice. Oh, I wouldn't have thought of that. Oh, duh. Boo. These ones here that are the shallow ones, those you can mount on a wall or underneath things. And at one point when I was redesigning a space here in the room, I looked at that and thought, well, that might be okay. But they are very shallow.
Yeah.
You basically, all you're going to get in there is a rotary cutter. So, and that's one of the problems if you're looking at the stuff online. You've got to, they tell you the sizes, the measurements, which are all in metric, by the way, which although here in Canada, you wouldn't think that's a problem for us, but it is for me because I don't think in metric. I think in, imperial or whatever they call linear with it. But that's one thing. Now, Walter, of course, bought the Billy bookcase, and that's one of their most popular designs in sale, and he got I think it's this one,
Yeah, the black one.
the black one. It's narrow. What is it? It's about
It's 31 inches.
by
It says
it's 11
31
deep.
1 inches, 31.5 inches wide, and 11 inches deep, and 79.5 inches high.
Yeah. And what are you going to put on it?
Well, I still have some books that I want to keep,
Oh my God, how last century?
and so I've got my books out in boxes out in the garage. So I'm gonna sort through them and decide what I'm keeping and what I'm not keeping, and then I'll put back what I had in the bookcase before, but I'm gonna change the way I was storing stuff before, because I had like one shelf that had a lot of garbage in it, and it was all messed up. So I think I'll put them in a bin or something like that. And put
Now,
it on the
how
shelf.
tall are each one of these shelves? Do you know?
Well, you can adjust them to different
okay.
heights, right? So right now I sort of divided them up fairly equally all the way down. I may end up moving some of the shelves up or down depending on what my needs are.
Okay, because the reason I'm asking that question is, this would be ideal for storing your fabric. I use comic book boards to wrap my fabric around, and I stack them vertically because it's easier to grab, your fabric and pull it out than if it's stacked that way than if you pile it up on top of each other, because inadvertently everything that you ever want is on the very bottom part, and you have to pull the whole damn pile up because it doesn't just slide out easily. But with these, you can put them all vertically. And if you're worried about things getting dusty or whatever, you can also buy doors, separate doors that fit onto these bookshelves as well. So that could look very nice. If you want a more elegant look to your sewing room, you might want to invest in the glass doors.
Now the middle shelf in there, if you see, the middle shelf is fixed. It has to be in that position.
Because it's
But
a support.
the two upper shelves and the two lower shelves, you can divide that upper or lower part into different width shelves.
And they do have these in different sizes and widths if you have a narrower space, as you can see here, or if you want something that's kind of a combination of cupboards and shelves, that kind of thing. So they've really thought about versatility. Here's one that goes around a corner, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So depending on, and I'm thinking more or less for people who may be thinking of doing a remodeling of their sewing room, this might be the way to go. Oh, they have green ones. Didn't know they had them in green too. And combining them with some other things, there's a lot of things you can do.
Yeah, I mean, they began to become very versatile with the way they design their cabinets. So.
They're kind of mix and match. Now, they do have a program on here somewhere where you can do a mock-up of your space. I used it once when I was planning one of the new areas. I was talking about that little low shelf kind of a thing. And it works pretty well because it lets you visualize what the space you're designing in is going to look like when, which cabinetries you want to buy.
I mean, it's the stuff's versatile. It's relatively easy to put together. It's usually pretty sturdy, and I think it's sort of a well thought out system.
Yeah.
That they've done, and that's probably why they've become so popular.
Yeah. And again, desks. But think for your sewing room, pressing station, cutting station, whatever. And sure, these aren't that wide, but you can get two of them and put them side by side, put your cutting mat up on it, or put your...
Well, the one thing that I got the biggest top on the desk, and at the time it was, I think it's 72 inches long, the biggest top.
Yeah.
Well, you do need some support. You can't have like two cabinets on either side and expect to have a great expanse of width on the top. So if you do that, you may have to put a leg in the middle.
Yeah.
To give it more support.
But they have a few other things too. Okay, if you're a hand sewer, okay, if you like to sit in front of a television set in your favorite chair, well, they have these kind of little things here, which are popular. Like this one showing a computer module. It's even got a cup holder on the side. This one's got a little, looks like basket hanging down from it or whatever. And so they're designed to be either off to the side of your chair or in front of you, and so you could put your hand sewing on there, and you have a little space to put your scissors and things like that. So little things like that. I'm not a hand sewer, so I wouldn't be using that.
And if you buy stuff that's specifically for sewing needs and stuff like that, often those things can be pretty pricey, whereas the stuff that IKEA
Yeah.
sells is a reasonable price. So,
You can also get something that's, and I have a couple of them. When I was a crafter, I started buying them, but they're great for holding my fat quarter bundles and things like that I purchase, and they're called Rescots, and they're carts on wheels, and you can move them around. But I have seen Karen Brown of Just Get It Done Quilts. She took one of those carts, put a piece of plywood, 3/4 inch plywood, on top of it that she covered in a layer of batting and some fabric, and she made it into a pressing station that allows her to move it around in her sewing room. And if you have a cordless iron or something like that, one of those Panasonic 360s or something like that, you can move it wherever it's best for you, whatever project you're working on, and you'll have storage space underneath of it too for tools or other fabrics or whatever. So you could actually use one of those kind of things, the Ruscots, and I don't have a picture of it here, but I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. If you like, it be your project station that you can roll over toward your sewing machine.
So go have a look at the catalog, and you can maybe envision that you can use it for different things.
Yeah, think outside of the box. Don't think of it as the way they show how to use it. Think outside the box. Now, if you want to get more elaborate, and of course, all the rage are the electric tables, right, that go up and down. Well, they sell their own brand of it. I don't think they are maybe as sophisticated as those ones that you see. I forget the name of the company that's very popular right now that makes them. Husky Table or something like that, I think they're called. But these do the same thing, and they go up and down. And some people really like the fact that they have an adjustable table because they want it at a certain height when they're cutting, but they want it at a different height when they're pressing or whatever for that. Or, if you want to sit down, say you wanted to use this table when you're hand sewing, or some people just can't stand up for very long when they're doing cutting, so they can adjust this table to what's a comfortable height to manipulate their rotary cutter and everything like that. And they're really not a horrible price with this. So yeah, I would really like an electric table, except I don't have any room in my sewing room for that kind of thing. If I was ever to remodel it and get rid of my center island, which is never going to happen because I like my center island, because that's my pressing station and everything, I would look at, at least one of these, probably a couple of them. But right now, no. And in fact, I like my setup that I have right now, so I don't think I'll be changing any ideas. Okay, so those are big furniture items for, storing, for the decor, for your machines, all that kind of stuff. What about for your little tools? Well, they have a system called, and I don't know how to say it, Skidas, I think is how they say it, and it's pegboard, but it's their version of pegboard. They're pretty reasonable in price and how many units you want. Like the standard unit looks like it's about 30 inches by 22 inches, so 30 inches wide, 22 inches high. They just screw into your wall. They come with the fasteners for it. There's a little spacer that goes in behind. The screw goes through the corner and it goes through the spacer, and that keeps it out from your wall a little bit so that you can hook things into it. And then they have a ton of accessories. You can get like a platform. You can get cups and things. You can get these kinds of bins. It's very modular. But there's like tons and tons of things, like the hooks for all of this. Even clips. So, yeah. I would really like to have something like this, but I don't have any wall space to put it on. I actually 3D printed, because there are ones you can 3D print and they work. And I actually have one of those. I used to have one another one over here, and then I changed this part. But I've got one over on one of my other walls near my iron, and it just holds miscellaneous things like rolls of masking tape and that kind of stuff. I don't have all my tools on it, but lots of things for it. Makes it very versatile form of storage. And then speaking of storage, of course, you've got your boxes. And you've got, they come in all sizes, shapes, types, styles, the whole bit. You even get basket types of things. So whatever you want. I like these ones. I have some of those. I've used those for things before. These, 99 cents. We sell them all over the place. They're a good size. They're showing it here. That's inside a big drawer or whatever. They may work. Some of their baskets, well, many of their baskets also will work inside like the Alex drawers and things like that. They're made for that. You want to store your quilts? Well, here you go. I have something like this, but I didn't get it at Ikea. I got it from Amazon to store my quilts in. But lots of versatility here. They show it in closets and under sinks and things, but you know, there's 267 of them. So, and you can get them in different finishes. They can be wire, they can be wood, they can be cardboard, they can be plastic, everything. So, yeah, now I know a lot of us probably go to the dollar store and buy baskets. Like I'm a real consumer of baskets from the dollar store. But if it hadn't been I had so many of those baskets from the dollar store, which cost me about $1.50 a piece, I would have bought these because they're 99 cents. And they hold the same as a basket from the dollar store. It might be even a little bit more sturdy. But I didn't. Now, we were talking about the tray that we bought. This is the tray we bought right here.
Pretty basic.
Just a basic tray, $1.99. Okay? And you know what we're using it for. But I know there are many people out there that buy trays to lay out all their pieces for a project. They have them all labeled and they're all laid out on the tray. And that's a great way to organize it. Actually, I have done that before as well. But it's the different types of trays. I mean, maybe if you want something a little fancy, that's a $10 tray because it's wood. But there's something $1.99, this particular one, but it's got higher edges on it, so your pieces won't fall off. But they have all kinds of different types of trays that you could use to hold projects on. They're so inexpensive that you could buy several. You know, here, you want something a little bit more color to it, that's just a plastic tray. But plastic trays are very versatile. Now, I saw this one there. A little bit more expensive. It's got these handles on it. But I think you can take the handles and you can bend them the opposite way and they become almost like legs and it raises it up. So there might be a use for that. And then some of these obviously, maybe not so much so in your sewing room. But trays are good to have for lots of purposes. And you can use them, as I said, to organize your fabrics for a project. Okay, next thing. All right, cushions. All right, you're going to go, well, why? Because you can make your own, and I'm sure many people have, you've made your own cushion covers, right? But have you ever gone out to try and find a form that doesn't cost you an arm and a leg for it? So these ones, look at $2.99. It's a 16 by 16. 16 by 16 is what my couch cushions. That's the size of those. Last time I bought a cushion form that size, it cost me over $10 for it. This $2.99. Now, that cover does not come off. That's okay. You make your cover, you put it over top of it. I'll let you in on a secret. On the cushions I have in our rec room couch, on our sectional right now, there are 3 covers on it. I just keep adding the cover over top of it because I'm too lazy to take them off. But they're just envelope openings, right? Easy to do. The same with this. Even at $4.99, that's still a lot cheaper. I mean, now we're getting into more expensive ones here. But
the other ones are, I think, a different size if you scroll down.
Oh, are they? 20 by 20, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a 16 by 16.
16 by 16, but then 18 by 18 is another one.
Yes. So really,
Yeah. So
but those might be a little pricey, but maybe not. It depends on where you're looking.
yeah,
But you know, you can get other shapes too,
and it does. You don't have to go just to IKEA. You may find a store in your area that carries similar products,
like a Yisk.
like a Yisk or some other stores. I mean, Americans usually have a better selection of stores
Yeah.
than we have. And if you find a pillow that suits your needs for a decent price that you want to make a cover for, just make a cover
Just
for
make a
it and
cover for
cover it over top.
Yeah. I think sometimes people forget that you don't have to go with the cover that's on the cushion. Some of them make that cover may come off for washing. Other ones may not. They may be sewn right on. You don't even pull it off.
No.
Think of it as a protective covering. Put your put the one that you've made right over top of it.
Yeah.
With it. But I mean, at $2.99, I don't think you can go wrong if you're making a decorative cushion. Now, how much padding are in them? Well, I don't know. I didn't look at those ones. I didn't feel them. They're probably not as like the more expensive ones you might buy somewhere. They might not have as much padding in them. But you know, you want a trick for that? Wrap some of your batting around it.
Scrap batting.
Scrap batting around it and put your cover over top of it. And here's another tip. And this may not be worth shattering, but I thought I was brilliant. I had a cushion cover that was a little too big that I made. I got my measurements a little wrong. Figures. And the cushion form was a little too small for it. And so the corners kind of flopped. I grabbed some scrap batting and I stuffed it in each of the corners, smoothed it out. You'd never know, because no one's going to open up your pillows and look what you got inside with it. So you can make it fit that way. Now, I have heard some people say they use tissue paper for that. I think batting is better because tissue paper kind of crinkles.
And it might make a crinkling.
Yes, I know.
So,
And also it compresses more easily if you use them a lot. If it's just going to sit someplace no one's going to touch it, you'll probably be okay with that. But, you know.
Or stuff it with something else soft that you have.
Like your old pantyhose or used underwear. Whatever. Walter would use his used underwear. Clean. Well, maybe. Whatever. Okay. Picture frames. They have all kinds of picture frames, and they're usually not a bad price. Depending on, you know, whether they are made out of plastic or they're made out of wood or if they're the metal. But if you are redoing your sewing room, or say you've got something, and the reason I looked at these the other day is because I have, everybody saw it, Kathy Weidman made me a beautiful birthday card that is a maple leaf on it. It's quilted. It's basically paper pieced. She sent me the pattern today, actually, for it if I want to make more of them. And I want to frame it. And I didn't get a frame at IKEA for this, so I haven't got one yet. But I don't want to spend an arm and a leg for a frame either. But it would look, but if I wanted to, say, take blocks, that orphan blocks this is a good use of orphan blocks. You've got an orphan block because you were testing something else, and as long as it suits your, if it's pretty enough or whatever, why not frame it and hang it on a wall in your sewing room? Or give it to a friend who might appreciate that kind of thing, and frame it. You put it in a nice frame, it'll look great, but you don't have to spend an arm and a leg on a frame. Now, some people say they would go to the dollar store and get a frame. Yes, you can, but here's what and I have done that. The dollar store frames are not always glass. Sometimes they're a piece of acetate.
And they may not be constructed as well as some places, so you might want a little bit nicer frame.
You might find something that works, because sometimes,
I mean, like I said, you don't have to go to IKEA. I'm sure there's other places that you can go.
Yeah. But it's just another way if you're in IKEA and they have these frames all over the place in all different sizes and shapes and things, leave your mind open. You might find something that you hadn't thought of before, but you would like. Rugs. Okay. Now, you're going to say, well, yeah, why would I want a small rug? Now, these are big rugs. These are area rugs, but you can get smaller rugs there too, like $3.99. 1 foot 8 inches by 2 feet 7 inches. That's not small. that's not a bad size. With
That's
that,
not exactly huge.
no, it's not. But here's what I'm going to say about using the rugs. I have a rug. My room is carpeted. Okay, the house came with this room carpeted, and you know what happens to carpeting if you're standing and walking across the same place all the time. It starts to look worn. And because of the side of my center island, my pressing or my cutting area, I'm constantly walking back and forth in that spot. And I was noticing that the carpeting was starting to look a little worn on there. And so I bought a runner. Just one of those runners you can buy. I don't know if it came off a roll. We cut that one? It may have been cut
Yeah, I'm not
from the
sure.
roll. Anyways, and it fits that space, and it's not a very wide space. It's only about 2 feet, and it's about 6 feet, 7 feet long. But it saves the wear and tear on the carpet underneath it. But it wasn't cheap for that purpose. Go to IKEA. You know, one of these or two of these, $8 for two. What the hell? And if you drop something on it, like when you're working, if it gets stained in that, throw it away and buy another one because they're inexpensive. Also, you can get some that have a little bit more padding to them. These are bigger ones. Those are all big area rugs. But if you get one that's got a little bit of padding or a non-slip back on it to a certain extent, if you're worried about your carpet sliding out from under you in your sewing room, then
And you don't have to just go to IKEA. You could probably find things like a Home Depot
well, yeah.
or Lowe's or a building supply place as well for that.
But the
sort of
reason
thing.
I'm focusing on IKEA is because it's like one-stop shopping,
Yeah,
and their prices are usually pretty good. With it,
yeah, you make it sound like your gut shares. In
I do
IKEA.
not. This is not sponsored by IKEA, although if they wanted to, we could talk. But no, no, no. I'm just saying because we were there yesterday.
Yeah.
We hadn't been there for a while. Okay, why blinds? Well, forget about these kind. Look at these kind. All right, you need a small design wall someplace. You don't have a lot of place to put it. You could take one of these blinds, and now they're not flannel, so or batting on them, so that they're not going to, your stuff isn't going to stick to them. But you could probably pin them, or what you could do is really thin batting or a flannel, and you could glue that to this surface. And it, now you'd have to check it out. I don't know how well it would work on the roller with that, but I have a feeling that if it's thin enough, it would probably roll up. Now, they're not big, but if for little projects that might be really handy. Now you can get them though in larger sizes and larger widths, but it's worth exploring because I saw something like this at a quilt show. And their system, it was really big, it was very expensive, and basically it was a roller blind. And I'm not sure what they were using to make your blocks stick to it. They had something on it, but it was the same principle. And I'm sure with a little bit of imagination, you could make something like that work for you. I would just buy pretty much the cheapest one I could find that's as wide as I could afford. Like, let's see, $60, 32 inches
Actually,
across.
if you go down a bit, no, the other way.
That's up.
Okay, just keep going down. Okay, there, that one, the bestseller one.
Yeah.
Oh no, not that one. Keep going back. Saw one up there. This one here, the one for 64. It's 70 inches wide.
70 inches wide.
Yeah.
And only for $65.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could make that work.
And that's Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
In American, it would be cheaper.
A lot less.
Yeah.
So yeah, so 70 inches across, that's pretty, and 76 inches long.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I should have really looked at those a little bit more closely. Because I think you could make it work. Now, I wonder what the fabric is that those are made with.
Well, you may tell you further down. That's a blackout.
It's a blackout. I don't know where you'd find that. Oh wait, right here. Choose color.
Product details.
Unique rods like a one. Product details.
So laminated blackout fabric.
Okay, so it says it is fabric. I wonder how well it would accept a pin
I don't know.
with it. You'd have to go and look at them and think about that. But I think there's potential here. I may explore that further in the future.
The blinds are made out of polyester from recycled PET bottles.
Oh, okay.
Plastic bottles.
And the blind is cordless for increased child safety. Oh, nothing worse than coming down
Yeah,
your sewing room
apparently
and hanging child.
all the blinds are not allowed to have cords anymore.
Oh, because little children hang themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, good God. When we were kids, we used to stick knives in electric outlets, and look at us today. There's not a thing wrong with us. Okay, moving on. The electric tables, already talked about those. Desk chairs, okay? Or let's call them sewing chairs, okay? You need something with a higher back for support. Not all these would be appropriate, but there's one. Adjustable. Not a bad price, $149. Look at that one. Or this one. That's a good price. Now you would have to, they call that a gaming chair. And gaming chairs usually have a lot of support. It almost looks like it's got a lumbar.
Yeah, for our U.S. viewers, you should check your own IKEA prices, because these are all Canadian.
These are Canadian prices.
which will appear higher than American prices.
But there's a good variety here of chairs, but to suit your purposes. And office chairs or official sewing chairs are quite expensive. I have an official sewing chair that's by Arrow, and that chair cost me $450.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I love the chair. It gives you great support. It's built, especially for somebody like me that's short, it fits really well. But you may not need that kind of thing, and so you can get them for $189. That looks actually like a very comfortable chair. But you'd have to check them out. But they have lots to choose from. Now, let's talk about fabric. They have pre-cut fabric. Not a lot. I did not see this because I wasn't thinking about it when we were over at the Ikea. But here they've got like a few things. Now, okay, these are not things you're going to quilt with. They're probably polyester. Let's see. Yeah, what's it say? Sewing, great weather, use fabric.
It says 100% cotton.
Well, it's 100% cotton. How much was that? $24.99
For 3 meters.
for 3. Shit. Next time we go over there, we're going to take a look at this. But it doesn't say how wide it is.
So it's 150 centimeters wide.
By 300 centimeters long. So 150 centimeters, that's not huge.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize, I figured they'd just be polyester.
That's 66 inches wide.
66 inches wide, and it's 3 meters of it.
Yeah.
Next time I'm in Ikea, I'm going to make a point of looking for some of these fabrics. They don't have a lot to choose from, but, I'm thinking, like this one, for example, they're showing here. That one,
Actually, correction, I did a better calculation. It's 59 inches.
well, that's more than what we usually get.
Yeah.
Well, this one's 59 by 118 inches.
Yeah.
So it says, well, that's a big piece of fabric.
Yeah.
But, some of these would make, like, if you want to do a quick quilt as a panel, that design would make a neat panel. That one, too. Like, really, think panels, people, in here. And a pretty darn good price. You want stripes? If you're making cushions, though, like we were talking about before, this fabric would work, depending.
Yeah.
And you actually have quite a bit to choose from. I don't think I'd be making it into a quilt, but I could see, well, I could, like that one right there. Look at that one there. Would make a great panel backing. And something like this would be okay as a blender or something like that. So never really thought about IKEA for fabric. Lighting. Okay. Of course, you know, in a sewing room, do you ever have enough light? No. But you know, sometimes people want to have more light on the actual sewing table, right? On your sewing machine. Now you can get LED strip. Oh well, you can buy LED strips that are one color. They have a sticky backing, and if you want to put underneath your sewing machine, and they ran about, well, the ones I bought that were on sale were $7.49, but the regular price was $15. And I think the ones that were 15, there were other ones for $15. I think were a longer strip. What I had was 1 meter.
Yeah.
But 1 meter is plenty.
39 inches.
Yeah. That's plenty for putting, you know, underneath your arc of your sewing machine, your throat of your sewing machine. And I'm not sure if these ones are cuttable.
Usually they are.
They may have been. I didn't look at them that closely. But if they're cuttable, well, that means you just trim off the end, and away you go. And these ones hook into a USB plug. Well, come on, everything we've got has USBs to them. So that's not hard to rig up. So that's a lot cheaper than what you can buy that are meant for sewing machines, and they're the same kind of thing, and they can run you as much as $50-$60. Of course, overhead lights. But if you want something that's more moving around for, like, you're doing needlework or hand sewing or something like that, there's always these kind of skinny floor lamps that don't take up a lot of space. A lot of these are decor lights, of course. But they have under the cabinet type strip lights as well. Oh, here. Light strip. This is 3 meters. And it's probably cuttable.
Multicolor one.
Oh, that's a multicolored one? Well, why not have a little disco? But that doesn't mean, well, that just means that you can change it. The ones that I bought are multicolored, but they have a switch. And
I think that's the same one that you got, but it's...
well, that's 3 meters. Mine is only 1.
Yeah, 1 meter. So...
Well, there's a switch on it. And depending on which mode you go in, there's one mode where you can freeze the color, and you can freeze it at white if you want it to, so it doesn't keep changing around.
But you can get it as one color, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they had there, too. So, I mean, you know, look at IKEA if you're thinking that. And, of course, these ones, closet lights. You know, you might have some cabinets and it's a little dark under your cabinets. Get these. They just stick underneath them. You do have to plug them in, so you're going to have to figure out, you know, where your outlets are or wherever, how to do that. But where there's a will, there is a way. So tons of lighting ideas. So when you're thinking about where you want extra light in your sewing room or whatever, IKEA's probably got something that's going to work for you. And even, like, you want to take a light with you they had ones that collapse too. This isn't one of them, but you know how you can buy the collapsible lights that fold up and you take to a sewing retreat or something like that? They're not cheap for a lot of those. For ones that are really decent, IKEA probably has a solution for that at a much more reasonable price. And then I put in clocks. Because lately I've been thinking about clocks with my 3D printer. But every sewing room needs a clock. So lots of here. And in many ways clocks are decor items too. So, you know, but cheap. Cheap. The reason I'm thinking of clocks is because I had a cheap clock from the dollar store that hung in my Lucy room. And when they were doing the windows, they were making a lot of vibrations. It fell off the wall and it broke. So I'm making new ones now on my 3D printer, but I got one. I almost did. Saw one at IKEA the other day because I don't need an expensive clock out there. I just want a clock. Okay, so I think, was there anything else? No. So that's just a whole lot of ideas for when you go into IKEA. Think outside the box. Yes, we did have the Swedish meatballs while we were there, or as we like to commonly refer to them, the sawdust balls. But actually, I thought they were tasty.
They weren't too bad.
They were okay for what they were with that. So, we made a day of it. Went to IKEA, spent a couple hours, and had lunch. Yep, there at bargain price. So that's what we want to talk about this week, since we had just been there and everything. And I hope it's given you maybe some ideas. I'm sure you have other ideas as well. And I don't think anybody is foreign to the concept of an IKEA.
Yeah, but I mean, whether it's IKEA or you go somewhere else and get something similar, there's lots of people that change the product to suit their needs.
Yeah.
And so you don't always have to. Many years ago, when we moved into our house, this was before IKEA went modular and all kinds of other stuff. We needed some desks. Steve needed some work desks downstairs
Where we're sitting right now.
where we're sitting right now. And I said, well, why don't we buy a bunch of, I measured them, IKEA filing cabinets, and I'll go out and buy a piece of countertop and put it on top.
So basically, in this shot of my 3D printers, if you see that green part underneath, and there you see one drawer, that's what we have in here, and this is what we've had in here for 30 years. And they've stood the test of time. You can't buy these filing cabinets in the wood anymore at IKEA. But
it's like IKEA caught wind that people were doing this sort of thing, like making a desk out of their filing cabinets, and now they've come up with a system to
do that,
to do exactly what we did 30 years ago.
yeah. So we should be getting copyright money off of that. Yeah, really. But yeah. So wherever you're in a store that you're not really it's not quilting, think quilting if you're looking for certain things, and take a look around. Hardware stores are great for that as well. There's all kinds of things, because once you see something in a quilt store that you can get somewhere else, the price is going to be at least doubled. I.e., remember the electric shaver that I use, my electric seam ripper I call it? That's what it was called in the quilt store when I first bought it at $24.99. And then
I thought you paid like $40 for
no,
that.
I didn't spend
Okay.
$40
All right.
for it. I spent $24.99 for it.
Okay.
And I was really happy with it. Then I saw them at the dollar store, $4. And I have several of them still in the packages, because anytime I see them there, I pick up one, because you never know. They make a lovely gift for it. Or when you have to trim Walter's hair. Does it in a second. So
save money by doing that.
Yeah, really, it would too. Oh. A butcher knife too. It could just scalp you. Yeah, there you go. Anyways, enough about my pastimes. Yeah, so I hope this just got the creative juices flowing. If you're thinking about, especially if you're thinking about remodeling or changing a part of your sewing room or something, think outside of the box. Okay, so that's it for us this week on So Chatty. Have no idea what we're talking about next week on So Chatty, but then until about half an hour ago, I didn't know what we were talking about on this one either, so I make it up as we go along. Any parting thoughts, Walter? Wisdom?
Not really. Just take a look around, and
Already said that.
if you've got a solution that you need,
We're being
try and
redundant.
think of where it is.
Share your ideas. If you've got some creative things you've done that you're really happy about, that are working out for you, put them in the comments below. Share them with everybody else, because I am sure others would like to know what these things are. Because the one thing about quilters are, we do tend to be a little bit cheap. So, if we can find something that's a workaround to something that we would have to pay a lot of money for, then we're going for it. Okay, have a good week. We'll see you later. Bye for now.
Bye for now.